All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, happy to welcome on the inaugural WEC middleweight champion, also a vaunted individual on the inaugural season of The Ultimate Fighter, one of the more well-regarded characters for sure, definitely a tenured UFC fighter, and now gets ready to compete at BKFC 6. I've got Chris Leben on the program. How's it going there, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering how the prep is leading up to it and everything like that. You were initially supposed to fight Brennan Ward, and then Dakota stepping in and everything like that. So, what are your thoughts on Dakota Cochrane and just sort of the development with like the late opponent switch? Is there any difference in the prep at all, or is it kind of just like whoever stands across from you, you'll get to it?
Yeah, they're night and day different. You know, Ward stays on the outside. He throws straight punches. Space is a little bit wide. He's more technical boxer. Cochran, he's real heavy-handed. He comes forward. He drops his head off line. He throws looping punches. Totally different styles. So, yeah, we got to make some last-minute adjustments for sure. And obviously, as you know, Cochran is not somebody to take lightly. I mean, he fought right before me on that other bare knuckle event for the other organization. You know, where he knocked out. Oh man, what?
Johnny
What's
Hendricks.
that? Johnny Hendricks. Yeah, yes. Sorry, brain failure there. Yeah, he beat up Johnny Hendricks real good. And that was right before I stepped into the ring. So, I've seen what he's capable of.
And were you impressed by that performance? Like, is this like a welcome sort of adjustment, or is it kind of like inconveniencing to you to like switch an opponent who is like pretty, stylistically different? Like, is it something you're kind of embracing, or is it a bit of an inconvenience, like just a bit out from the fight?
I just kind of look at it like, hey, a big part of this game is adversity. You've got to be able to roll with the punches. Figuratively. I guess, and literally. I mean, yeah, obviously I've been planning for somebody else. I don't welcome change last minute. But it is what it is. How am I going to handle it? How am I going to handle that pressure and that change in opponent? I consider myself to be a veteran fighter that's been through a lot. And, I'm hoping those skills that I've built will allow me to make that switch.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering what the biggest fundamental difference is between bare knuckle boxing and MMA, at least in terms of the striking approach. Do you change like your punch volume up? Is like the economy different, the shot selection different at all? Like, what's the biggest fundamental difference between your striking approach in BKB versus mixed martial arts?
Well, I'd say two things. One, there's one range. You don't have to worry about kicking. You don't have to worry about the takedown. So the range is a little bit closer, and also because that glove adds a couple. In boxing, a glove is 3 inches, 4 inches thick, and in MMA, it's an inch and a half thick. And believe it or not, that's a light year distance when you're talking about high level striking. 1 inch more, they're out of your range. Now you got to be even closer because you have no glove at all. And then, of course, you can't just wing overhands when you don't have gloves on.
Yeah, absolutely. And this seems like a great card, and it seems like you're enjoying the lead up to it and everything like that. What are your thoughts on the actual, Malignaggi versus Lobov fight and everything like that? Because it seems like it's drumming up a lot of attention, whereby it's one of the bigger bare knuckle boxing events ever. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's probably one of the more, notorious bare knuckle boxing events, at least in the last century or so, at least in terms of profile and getting attention and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on being part of an event of this magnitude?
It's exciting, man. I mean, obviously, yeah, the sport was huge 100 years ago, and it's been gone. Now it's back, and it's picking up steam and momentum incredibly quick. I would say not maybe, possibly, but for certain, this is the biggest BKB event, in anybody alive's lifetime, for sure. I don't know about 100 years ago. I wasn't alive back then. But this fight coming up is huge. It's massive. I mean, I was at the press conference. These two guys, they hate each other, and whether you think Malignaggi, whether you think it was respectful or disrespectful, I'll tell you what, man, it made me want to watch the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a stacked card in general for sure. But I was kind of noticing that you had a bit of a brush with Bellator a little while ago, and then there were certain tests that came back where they couldn't clear you initially, but then doctors kind of had cleared you and stuff like that, which is good to see you back in BKB competition. But to that point, are you looking to get back into MMA at any particular point? Is that kind of on the horizon, or just like take it one fight at a time, maybe see where the bare knuckle thing leads you?
Yeah, I'm taking everything one fight at a time. Right now, I'm really kind of enjoying this BKB ride. That's not to say that MMA isn't a big part of my life, and I don't love MMA, but I'm really enjoying being part of this new sport. It's super exciting. I feel like there's a lot of potential in it for me. It's a good fit for the way I fight and where I'm at. So. I think, I'm highly doubtful. Even if Bellator did throw a bunch, it would be hard for me to make the jump at this point. Ask me after next Saturday. But, as of right now, BKFC is taking really good care of me, and I'm very happy where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to be for sure. But it seems like you're just in a good place in general. Like I saw a recent interview where you're saying mentally you're sharper than ever. Is there anything in particular you credit that to? It seems like you've been leading like a healthier lifestyle in terms of like what you've been doing with your dietary changes. Is that a big part of it, or is there some other facet of your life you would credit to that?
Yeah, a big part of it is what I'm doing. Probably the biggest part is what I'm not doing. You
Yeah,
can read between the lines on that statement. I've been extremely active in making sure I'm living a healthy, issue-free lifestyle. I'm very involved in that and helping other guys out with that. After you do that for a couple of years, man, things, everything changes. Everything just gets easier and simpler, and you realize that all these struggles and battles you were having where you just couldn't seem to do things right, things just start falling into place. And honestly, that's where I'm at. I haven't really tried to force anything. Everything is just kind of falling into place.
Yeah, and you were talking about like you imparting certain like health knowledge to people, but it seems like you're getting involved with coaching as well. How much does that inform your own individual efforts as a fighter? Like how much do you grow when you try to like coach people and teach them technique?
Well, coaching has been something I've always been a part of, whether I was getting paid for it or not. I love the gym. I love the camaraderie of the gym, and I'm one of those people that, whether I'm on the clock or not, if you're fucking up, I'm going to point it out. One and two, I love to help people and teach them and help them grow and pass my knowledge on to them. But I'd say being here at the arena, being one of the coaches here, and having these guys on the fight team and my amateurs and stuff, where the motivation comes is I want them to see how a professional acts. Nobody needs to tell me that, hey, I need to hit my rounds of jump rope. I need to run after practice. I need to be here early to stretch out. I do all those things, on my own, but nobody telling me. So these guys, so I can lead by example.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. And I've also noticed that you've been doing some refereeing as of late. Like you were on that Golden Boy MMA event, for instance. Like, does that inform any efforts of yours as a fighter at all? Like I talked to Frank Trigg and he kind of said he understood the referee position a little bit more, maybe had, I guess, like more empathy for maybe how difficult the position is. Like, did you get anything like that from refereeing? Like, have you learned anything from it that you can extend to your own efforts as a fighter, or like what have you taken away from that?
Honestly, I would say the other way. Definitely being a fighter helps me referee, but refereeing is a far different skill set than fighting. Having cornered so many guys, trained for so long, and competed so many times myself, I assumed I knew everything to know about refereeing, and then I took Herb Dean's course and I realized I didn't know nothing. And then I got in there for my first, mock fight, and it was very difficult. And then I went to my first, I shadowed for my first couple, and then when I did my first couple amateur bouts with Camo here in California, the amateur MMA organization here, I realized, man, this is freaking stressful, way more stressful than fighting. I mean, I'm the one in charge of these guys' safety, and especially with amateurs, a lot of times those guys don't know if something's about to break or not, and they're so pumped up, I mean, they're on their first or third fight, I mean, the referee's job is so important. You want to give the guys every chance possible, but you want to keep everybody safe. And, I absolutely love refereeing. It is stressful. Don't get me wrong. It's stressful. I need to be in the zone. That the whole day before I'm going to ref, I'm in the zone. But it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to do, and it's going to be part of my life, hopefully for decades to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that you've been able to, learn those different things from participating in refereeing. And, not to spend too much time on this, obviously, but the prior, WBKFF situation there, like some outstanding funds there. I guess I'm just curious if there's like any updates on that situation. Have you been financially compensated to the full extent that you were promised, or is that still, kind of like...
I got a lawsuit going. Tom the owner is in prison for real estate fraud. As I understand it, boss is still saying it's not Tom's fault, and he wasn't the president, and it's nobody's fault. Which I don't know how much of that is true. It's obviously somebody's fault. They didn't get paid. But I do have a lawsuit going. I'm having some issues with my lawyer now because. I think I found another one though. So hopefully we'll get this guy served here in the next week. The judgment or whatever has been the case has been filed here in California. I need to get this guy served. The problem is this lawyer now is realizing that Tom might not have any money, and all of a sudden he's not so excited to do it, which is not ethically legal for a lawyer to just back out after he's already signed contracts. So now I'm dealing with a lawyer too that's frustrating me, but I'm actually going to go down to the courthouse to get my paperwork today to pay a company to serve Tom in prison.
Hopefully you can get some closure on that, man.
I may never get paid for it, truth be told, but the bottom line is I'm doing this all sheerly out of spite, because it's just wrong, and I wanna show everybody that I'm doing my part to try to get some justice, I guess. It's not really like a vendetta. It's just like, hey, I feel like justice should be served for me and everybody else that was on that card, and this needs to be shown to be unacceptable. It's really unfortunate that, the way the system works, that somebody can do that and then go, oh, hey, I'm out of money, and then nobody goes after him, Obviously, he got all the money from the pay-per-view, however much that was. We don't really know. They got paid. They didn't pay anybody else, so he must have got some money. But it is what it is. Basically, I've moved on. I'm not tripping over it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just, putting one foot in front of the other and getting that taken care of. At the quickest pace I can, which right now seems to be like about the pace of a snail.
Yeah, I think that's an unfortunate byproduct of, like, something becomes popular and you get a couple, like, guys who want to do the whole overnight success thing, try to, like, ride a wave. You get a promotion like, WBKFF and everything like that. But then a promotion like Bare Knuckle FC end up signing with, and they seem like they have a better understanding of it and are playing the long game more so. So it seems like you're in a better place ultimately.
Absolutely. I mean, besides the bare knuckle part, there is nothing at all whatsoever similar about these two organizations. Night and day. BKFC has taken great care of me. Number one, my check cleared. They paid me what they told me they were going to pay me. They flew me out. They put me in my corner up. They've done their job. Dave Feldman has been he's been open with me. He let me know. He was having issues with my last opponent. And he was working on getting he didn't keep me on ice about that. So I'm extremely happy with them.
That's great to hear, man. But I was noticing in your bare knuckle fights that both of them were, pretty quick for the most part. Like cumulatively, I think both are, it's like less than 2 minutes kind of thing. But you were saying this fight coming up, you expect it to more be like a long, drawn out kind of war. Are you just trying to more so ready your mentality for this idea of, okay, maybe this is going to be like a knockdown drag out fight versus like you banking on like, oh well, I'm going to go out there and just knock the guy out? Or is it more so you see something in your opponent Dakota Cochrane where you think he can test you in a way where it's not going to be a quick night?
I know he's going to come out hard. I know that. I know he's going to come out the gate and he's going to throw that big right. That's what he does. My goal is to against this opponent is to weather that initial storm and then drag him into deep water. I think that'll benefit me. That being said, you always prepare for the worst. You hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Cry in the dojo, laugh on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's a great way to phrase it for sure, but you've been great with your time, man. I'm curious if there's anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here.
No, I just want to say, if anybody's in San Diego, they want to get some training in, come down, visit me at the arena. I'm always open for privates. I'm teaching classes here all the time. They want to stop by, get something signed, whatever, come on by.
Absolutely, and big fight coming up here. Dakota Cochrane going to be taking on Chris Leben, bare knuckle fighting championships. It goes Saturday, June 22nd. It's going from the Florida State Fairgrounds Expo Hall in Tampa, Florida, and it's going to be live on pay-per-view. A myriad of platforms picking this one up, and like I said earlier in the conversation, I think probably the biggest bare knuckle boxing card that we've seen in the last century, and like you said, probably within anyone's lifetime as well. So very excited for this event, and yeah, just appreciate all the time and insights, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.